What's up, everybody? My name is Fico, and this will most likely be the last video that I will be making for the channel for this year. And it's I feel a little bad that this year has kind of sort of been one of those years that I would say that 2014 might go down in history in my life as being one of the most unremarkable years that I've had personally. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that I went to my very first convention, very first anime convention called AFO. I got a bunch of pretty sweet art. And I also drove up to visit my brother, to see my nephew as well, and my mom. And I will be going to see them very soon as well, but I didn't feel as though it would be right to just leave without giving you guys sort of like a reminiscent overlook of what I thought of this year in games, and one particular incident that may or may not still be getting talked about, but ultimately this year in games, it has been quite hard to talk about. It's been quite hard to talk about. All the way down from, I mean, it didn't even really seem possible that this year could be less memorable in terms of actual good things happening this year. I mean, were they great games coming out this year? Yes. Borderlands, the pre-sequel. I love that game. I'm still playing with my friend Noah on a PlayStation 4. I have it on the PC. I've beaten it like 3 times already, and I'm still building up characters and unlocking stuff, playing it multiplayer. I love it. Tales of the Borderlands, which is the first Telltale game that I've gotten right as soon as it launched, because I was just not going to pass up on getting a Borderlands Telltale experience. I also played the entire Season 2 of The Walking Dead, and it was great. It was amazing. It was just recent. So it was also the year where they released Dreamfall Chapters. It's a game that I've still yet to play because I haven't beaten The Longest Journey or Dreamfall The Longest Journey. I'm having problems with The Longest Journey, because I open it and it will only launch like in a little space, and I've tried hacks to try to expand it on full screen and it doesn't work. So that's probably gonna have to be uninstalled and then like copy and paste the save file, and so I can it's just, you can barely see what's on the screen, and worst of all, there's a lot of dialogue, so you can barely read what the characters are like. And also when you get lost, there's a diary and you can't read it because it's too small, because it's just like a square. It's like, this is what you'll see if you see the screen. This is what you'll see. Like, if you're like, imagine yours is your game image, like what you're looking at, and this is all I could see, like inside here. So I mean, there were. I still don't have either an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 or a Wii U. Though the Wii U might be the one that I get first, only just because there have been just a couple of really great games coming out. Bayonetta 2. There's Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker that's sold out in Amazon. There's also Smash Brothers, obviously, and I still haven't gotten it because I am about to purchase something that'll make my channel a little more professional. I'm thinking about getting myself a Scarlet 2i2 Studio combo, which right now I would love to incorporate that with what I'm recording here. But right now I'm still using the shotgun mic. As terms of view, kind of how it looks, it's still something that I'm debating. I would love to get a DSLR, but I'm also upgrading my computer. I just got myself an AMD CPU, the 8350, the 8-core FX series, for only about $129 on Black Friday. I couldn't pass that up. I had to get it. And I've got an idea what video card I want as well. And it's got to be a question of priority. Say if I'm also thinking about also personal changes. So it isn't that I'm not thinking about the channel. It's just like this has been one of those years where I'm afraid life has kind of sort of taken over. And this year I got really out of shape, and next year I'm aiming to get back right on the horse. So if you've noticed in the last couple of videos and you've noticed that I'm kind of a little bigger, that's like I said, 2014 really to me wasn't a good year. But enough about that. Let's talk a little bit about what I can recall, that other things that I couldn't recall that were very well. We could start by talking about Watch Dogs. You all know that I was very excited about Watch Dogs, and I played Watch Dogs on the PS4, and I even thought about reviewing it. And all I gotta say is, well, Watch Dogs to me was a really fun game, and I really enjoyed it. I love using the hacker exploits, kind of sort of the interface that you could use on the PlayStation 4's controller, the pad, just to interact with the map. That was pretty cool. But then I started hearing about the controversies about how the graphics were downgraded. And only one console got the better look of it. But then someone found an exploit inside of the game code that made Watch Dogs look again like it did in E3. And I have made a video about how Ubisoft didn't care about PC gamers, and I'm pretty sure they still don't. And speaking about Ubisoft, this was a horrible, horrible year for Ubisoft. I cannot even begin to describe to you how bad they fumbled this year. I mean, Watch Dogs, that was just the beginning. Then they fumbled up Assassin's Creed Unity, which just released last month, to horrific game crashing, horrific bugs, horrific everything. I mean, we're talking about characters' face bursting open. We're talking about characters floating. We're talking about a stealth system that didn't work. When they rolled out a patch to fix, they said they had 400 issues to fix with this game, and they still had more to release. So they released this game completely broken, and that was I mean. I cannot believe that they did this with 10 studios working all together, more than enough resources to get this game done, and they couldn't pull this off. The only explanation that I can think of why this happened was all these studios were working on the other projects as well, and they weren't communicating with each other very well. But definitively, Assassin's Creed Unity was definitely marred because of its technical issues. And you're thinking, this is only a PC problem. No, this is all throughout the console. And on top of that, they also unleash parity with all of the consoles and all of the platforms, which means that there was a hashtag that was like PS4 parody, and basically what that meant is that all the games were all gonna look in the same, they're all gonna run the same, they're all gonna be in the same resolution, they're all gonna be the same frame rate. And to me, that seemed like the complete and polar opposite of what they did with Watch Dogs, making the PlayStation 4 look better, and then making every other version look purposefully downgraded. And the reason for this, I think, is because, well, Assassin's Creed Unity is a big game, and it's coming on a time where it seems like, you know, the November time is November is a good month for gaming. And, well, if you're gonna make a lot of money with this obviously broken game, you gotta sell it to as many people as you can. So you tell everybody, it doesn't matter what version you get, they will all run the exact same. Never mind that you could run it better on a PC, hands down, but you could also run it really well on PlayStation 4, and yet they've locked it to that. And they also implemented microtransactions, apparently. And then I heard that Far Cry 4, another game that I was correct about predicting that I shouldn't have gotten excited about, I heard that they were having issues with that game as well. Now, it hasn't been very public, so I'm thinking maybe there weren't as many problems, but I did see an article here or two saying that Far Cry 4 was just, I heard the crew was out. I don't know if the crew is having any issues, but let me just put it this way. Ubisoft I lost trust in them just because of Watch Dogs. And that was all I needed. They took the most exciting game that I was looking forward to this year. I thought that was going to be Game of the Year for me, and, well, it wasn't. It was a good game, though. I'm not going to contest to that, but ultimately, it just kind of came and went. Next year, we've got The Division. We also got another Assassin's Creed game. But don't worry, the European EA actually weren't the only ones that got controversial. EA themselves also got controversial this year because they were also making claims about the Dungeon Keeper mobile game, which is a microtransaction black hole. I mean, Dungeon Keeper, all you have to do is just go watch either Total Biscuit's This Is Why We Can't Have Nice Things video about Dungeon Keeper 2. And you also can watch any of Boogie2988's videos on this. But I'll give you the summary. If you play Dungeon Keeper Mobile, the long-awaited return of Dungeon Keeper on your tablet or on your smartphone, and you notice that you are spending a big amount of money just on doing basic shit like the basic mechanics of the game, then you're playing it correctly, or at least that's how EA made it so you could play it correctly. Digging and picking and mining and making your dungeon could literally take a whole day just for one block, or you can instantly dig it by using gems that you have to purchase inside of the game with microtransactions. They also did it with Garden Warfare, where they implemented microtransactions and fixed the problem that the game was a bit too hard because it took so long to scale for these. So yeah, and so think about that. EA made the game so that it was scale slower. Then all of a sudden they implemented microtransactions in the game, and now scaling doesn't seem to be a problem. It's almost as though they kind of had microtransactions in mind from the get-go. There's not a year that goes by that EA doesn't do something horrifically stupid, and this is one year that they totally did it. E3 was a bit underwhelming this year. Kind of making me question whether or not E3 is even worth it anymore, because all I kept seeing was rehash and talking about games they already talked about, and EA was a no-show pretty much. They were a no-show, showing games that aren't even they're still in concept stages. Mirror's Edge 2, Mass Effect 4, another title. Who knows when those games are coming up? Ubisoft, just as underwhelming. But of course, the winner was Nintendo, and they weren't even there to give you guys a conference. I thought that I was going to be really mad with everything that they did last year, and they were going to repeat it this year. But it so happens the Treehouse coverage was very extensive, tons of videos. The Smash Brothers Invitational. I mean, Nintendo did pretty much everything wrong in terms of getting this console to get awareness. But with Smash Brothers, they let everybody know, and they did everything right, I think. Just a shame that, I mean, it's kind of saying something when Nintendo can put a little bit of money and get your games like Splatoon and the NES Remix and the Mario World Builder and Bayonetta 2 and all these games that are only going to be out for Nintendo, and without all the bust of a conference, they could still do better than pretty much everybody there. So, and Nintendo's doing good now, so, well, at least there's that. And then, of course, we've got the hatred. That controversial game trailer that a bunch of people were talking about. That black and white, long-haired, long trench coat dude that was out just gunning out and killing people. A lot of people found that to be reprehensible or irreprehensible. I don't know which word it is. Okay, it's basically horrific. I thought the trailer was very, very graphic, and I think that's the purpose of the game. Destructive Creations got a lot of flack, and they got an online petition from what I could describe as a crybaby. Not only asking for Destructive Creations to cease production of the game, but they also wanted to pretty much come out and apologize. Rumors of them being supremacists and Nazis, and I mean, there's a ton of stuff that was coming out from people that were talking about Destructive Creations. Anything to give them a bad name, and to me, I was like, this is just a game trailer. And you've seen many games like this. And I've seen many, many videos mention this. Multiple games have done this. Grand Theft Auto 5, one of the most controversial games. Well, I mean, you're playing as the bad guys, and you get to kill pretty much anyone you want. Everybody's equal. And nobody raises an eyebrow. They say, oh, it's satirical. And Rev 3 Games video decided to take it upon themselves and sit down and just say pretty much everything that made me just kind of never want to watch another Rev 3 Games video, which makes me all the more happy that they're not even around anymore. Thank you, Internet, for getting rid of that stupid channel. I was saying that if I had the power to make that game go away, I would. Oh, that people like Nathan Drake are fully justified in killing because people are in his way. Oh, people are complaining about this, but you know what? Postal did it first. But you know what? It's okay because Postal, it was supposed to be funny. they could come. They were pulling out every excuse from under wherever they could to justify why hatred shouldn't be out. Look, if hatred comes out and people are well, you know what? It's your right to get upset. That's fine. You don't want to play the game. Don't play the game. But people were calling out to outright get this game from even existing. And to me, that is a slippery slope. Because if you do that, then all of a sudden, anyone that gets offended by any game, you're going to see that game get pulled off of shelves. And just you wait, because I'm not done with Grand Theft Auto 5. Lindsay Lohan constantly trying to get this case again, that Grand Theft Auto 5 took her image unproven. She continues to say that Grand Theft Auto 5 developers took her image without permission. Nobody can prove that this whole thing is even, like, there's no proof that they even did this. It's a non-stop bullcrap. It's not important. A little worth talking about because she would just not go away. There are the other things that happened this year. Trying to remember from the top of my head a bunch of other controversies. I saw a video just now of a couple of them, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is at the center of another one that happened not too recently, but let's get this one out of the way. And in the mountain of other things that happened this year, the one that obviously took almost everyone's time was Gamergate. And, well, I've held out of talking about. I actually had like a couple of videos that I wanted to do for this, but I wanted to do this now because, well, this is the last video probably that you're going to get from me this year. So for those of you who don't know, Gamergate was a hashtag that was created by, I don't know who did it. There was a couple of people on the internet that did it, and basically it's a hashtag that was created as a means of boycotting games journalism from the practices that they were doing. And it all came to fruition when Zoe Quinn, an independent developer that created the abysmal Depression Quest adventure game, got outed by her ex-boyfriend on a pretty lengthy post in which pretty much laid out how she slept with multiple people in the game industry, including her married boss, including a writer from Kotaku that didn't review the game but spoke of the game, like gave it positive mention. And from that point, it was more controversial when they discovered that there was actually a group of game journalists that were from different websites that were actually together, connected, kind of sort of coordinating which articles to release. And the reason that Gamergate ultimately came into existence is because of all the facts that were coming out about this, about the sleeping around with developers and people in the games journalist industry. Then came the massive articles that were released declaring gamers dead. Me, you, anyone watching, declaring us it was the end of an identity, that and they knew better what gaming was. And ultimately, from that point on, it just snowballed into a whole bunch of other events, like people claiming they were being scared out of their homes but not too scared to go out and talk in public. People claiming they were scared out of their homes, but they weren't afraid to go on national television and lie about Gamergate. And there you go. That's where we're at right now. Gamergate's being called a hate group or a hate movement in which us gamers are trying to get women out of the video game industry, out of gaming. But in reality, the way they've shifted it, it's really they're trying to do the opposite. And people who have defended it over and over have shown just how horrifically wrong they are. And I mean, people like Patricia Hernandez and people like Maya Kramer, people like Steven Totillo, people like Josh McIntosh, Anita Sarkeesian, Brianna Wu, Rebecca Watson, people, all these feminists, or at least social justice warriors, came together to try to turn gaming into a hate-filled world where women cannot be in, even though without all of this, it was already happening. They don't care. Honestly, they really don't. From what I've asked to some of them, they just want to play video games. They want to be left alone. And a bunch of other people have also gotten in issues of controversy, like, say, for example, Zoe Quinn in that same post was exposed that she purposely sabotaged. I don't know if it was on the post, but it was sort of like there were facts that came out that she purposely sabotaged a Polaris game jam that was ran by the fine young capitalist in order to get her own game jam. But when you go to her own game jam page, all you see is her personal information for her PayPal. You see people like Maya Kramer, who was involved with the guy that runs this Independent Games Awards, and she also was in a relationship with Zoe Quinn, and then all of a sudden all Maya's friends were all winning awards. You got people, I mean, this is, there's so many facts, there's so much information that's in my head all about this whole thing, and ultimately what it boils down to is both of these sides benefit. The game journalists and the not real but calling themselves real feminists, these internet feminists, the feminazi, the ones that want to snuff everything from the world, the ones that called for the petition to get Grand Theft Auto 5 pulled out of shelves from Australia, even though this game has already been out for about a year, and they actually did it for fear that they were going to get a negative image. The same ones that bashed a scientist, a man who landed a probe on a comet for the first time ever, a major scientific breakthrough, and yet they gave him so much harassment and hate online because he wore a shirt that a friend gave to him, and it wasn't the most professional looking shirt, but you know what? It was just a shirt. It shouldn't have been made a big deal. You could have made a joke about it, but no, they turned it into, oh, this is why women can't join the space program. This is ostracizing and misogynist. Yeah, that word alone got repeated so much this year. My head was about to explode. Apparently, everything you do makes you into a misogynist to these people. But hounding a man that did a major discovery like this only for wearing a shirt really got me very, very angry. And now we're hearing that Anita Sarkeesian might actually be involved in Mirror's Edge 2. And Anita Sarkeesian may be the figurehead of, or at least declared like the flag carrier of this movement to kill gamers, because now she's apparently involved in the project, even though she's never designed a game, even though she doesn't play video games, and she pretty much hates them without doubts, and yet she's a part of this project. There was a petition for that. When I filled it, it was almost all the way through. So hopefully, if this was true, EA got rid of her, because this woman has no idea what she's talking about at all. Cherry picking little facts and figures that she and the rest of her friends pull out of their asses to justify shit-talking video games, shit-talking developers, shit-talking the people that just like to play video games. And it benefits both sides, because if they bring up that it's a hate group, then nobody will talk about the corruption in game journalists, and they get to keep being corrupt. And they defend these social justice warriors, and they get more attention, and then they can go out to the world and spread their filth about how everything is misogynist, how liking things or could potentially make you into a rapist. Yeah, that's one of them. And apparently that it's a major problem with first world women. They don't advocate for real women problems around the world, and they're not for equality. They're up for their own little Bay Area dungeon where they meet every day talking about what are we going to hate today. They're almost like a religious group or a pseudoscience group that they believe something is really there, but it's not. It's very, very disturbing how much of this took a lot of the attention. And I know I'm missing a lot of details. But video people have done much better job, like Sarkon of Arnad, Mundane Matt. I got subscribed to someone called Teal Deer, TL, call him DR. He calls it Teal Deer, and he's hilarious. And there's a bunch of videos that just go over everything, like in inclusive detail. I'm not going to become a channel that does that, because I feel so worn out by this whole thing. And this is just one big rant about it. But if there's anything that really made me mad this year, it was being told that being a gamer was a terrible thing. And that was definitely not. Being told that if you're a man and you like video games, you're potentially a rapist, you're a misogynist. If you express your opinion, you're a misogynist. If you tell people the facts, you're a misogynist. They're really good at silencing you, so that they only want one direction conversations. They want to tell you, and everything bothers them. That's part of the reason why that Polygon 7.5 review for Bayonetta really upset me, because praises the game's mechanics but bashes the sexiness. Because that developer, I could say he's anally retentive. I just personally think he's trying to just bring up this political agenda, and people say that it's not a problem to be reviewing games like this. Me personally, I would love if Gamergate would achieve stuff like actually expose this shit. I don't go to any website like Otaku, IGN, because IGN's Greg Miller decided to put his 2 cents of what he thought white male gamers had that over people. It's like it's 25 lists of white privilege or male gamers, what they will never deal with, and it's just hilariously incorrect. And Greg Miller showed up, and Adam Sessler showed up, and even Double Fine developer Tim Schafer showed up, and he and the rest of those people have absolutely no idea what they're fucking talking about. They're probably just they're reading off of what Anita Sarkeesian wrote, or Josh or her boyfriend wrote. I don't know who the fuck cares. I honestly would love, and if you guys agree with me, if 2015 you could just wipe away this group not kill them, just make them go away. Seriously. Because they do not care about gaming. They do not care about equality. They do not care about anything except getting what they want instead of what you're getting. And I've put this away. I'm not even, there's no more anger I can put into this whole experience. Then, and I'll conclude this video by saying this. Us gamers just want to have fun. We are inclusive. We are many. And this year has been a very, very complicated year to be a gamer. Developers can't make games anymore because they're afraid of what people will think. Oh, we're not representing women. Ugh. Like people from the Sony experience even mentioning Gamergate because they mention a male. Oh no, we don't want to get hounded by Gamergate. It's like, this is inside everything. And to tell you the truth, this is a very complicated year. And as gamers, we just want our games to be fun, engaging, and people like this, people like Anita Sarkeesian, people like Steven Totillo that don't give a fuck about ethics. People, websites like Polygon and Rock Paper Shotgun, and even people in Gamma Sutra. This whole thing has made the game journalism completely untrustworthy. So I've unliked a bunch of their pages on both their Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts and YouTube channels. Don't want anything to do with them. And I'll find out about my games now, good old thanks to YouTube. And I'll be skeptical about it. I will be skeptical. That's what this whole thing taught me. You can't take anybody on your word. Trust in yourself. Do your research. And don't let a single group of people tell you what is right and what is wrong. And that's what they want you to do. That's what they want you to do. They want you to listen and believe. No, you cannot do that. Don't let them do that to you. Just go out and be a gamer. And that's it. 2014 was a very, very complicated year for me. I didn't draw much. I let myself go, and I let the channel go. So I am very sorry. But I have a renewed sense of conviction. So hopefully when I get my PC built, I'll put a lot more emphasis in like working on getting more gameplay videos out there for you guys. And also, there were bad things happening this year. There were a bunch of cool things that happened too. So, I mean, even if 2014 wasn't the best game year, we still got good games. We still got good experiences. It's just, I felt that the bad kind of marred over this. So, but let's just fight back by just playing video games, buying them, and letting them know that their movement means absolutely nothing, and that they aren't helping and they haven't contributed to a single good thing at all. And we'll all realize that they are just a pro-censorship group. They're just trying to tell you what to think, what to say, and they don't want you to express yourself because it goes against everything they say. So hopefully that will be the end of that. Next year, I don't think I could deal with another year of this. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for being patient and watching and still subscribing. And as always, my name is Fico. This is my gaming mind. Happy holidays and Happy New Year.